Shamu, everybody. I'm here. I've been gone a little while. Well, where have I been? Recently, it has been the time of the Akidu Festival, which was an important Mesopotamian festival that honored the new year and had connections to Marduk. Now, there are many more knowledgeable people who have wrote about the Akidu Festival. They could tell it a lot better, but I was thinking, since I just got done with the Left Hand Path stuff, I'm starting on something new, gathering notes together for it, but adjacent to it, and adjacent to my practice, Akidu is all about Marduk, and there is a specific thing that goes hand in hand with Marduk, and that is Tiamat. And so I wanted to kind of make a thing here, kind of breaking down the truth behind Tiamat. From a historical lens and from a Mesopotamian lens, because a lot has been said by non-Mesopotamians on Tiamat, so we're going to say here. I've got my notes here. So, in the Enuma Elish, Tiamat is portrayed as being part of the creation of the universe. How this happens is that when the younger gods disrupt Absu's rest, he decides to destroy them. This leads to his own imprisonment and death. Tiamat, incredibly upset by the betrayal and the loss of her husband, takes up arms against her children. It reflects this resistance to change, this return to primordial chaos. This is a stance she adopts by creating a legion of monsters and appointing her brother Kingu as her new husband, as her new leader, and giving him the Tablet of Destinies to aid in her battle against the gods. So this battle goes very poorly for the gods for quite some time until it reaches its climax with Marduk, the hero god, who slays Tiamat, splits her body to form the heavens and the earth. Tiamat's chaotic essence is gone. The ordered world is created. And this is kind of the thing. This is the motif. This is the whole plot and the theme of the Enuma Elish in a nutshell. Tiamat's image in the Enuma Elish is a monstrous serpent. Not a dragon, but a monstrous serpent. And this does become later an archetype that we see in a lot of other allegorical stories about threats to cosmic order. And this root really keeps her chaotic essence. You've got the motif of Marduk being symbolic of order, triumphing over it, all that wonderful stuff. The important thing I want to discuss here is that how Tiamat is viewed and the goddess claims of Tiamat. So Tiamat embodies chaos, but she was and through her fall creation, but she was never seen as a deity at all within the Mesopotamian pantheon, within the Babylonian pantheon. We just don't see it. And we know she wasn't recognized as a deity because, unlike recognized gods, we don't see the cuneiform symbol that we call the Dingir mark. It's a symbol that's used to denote divinity as well as kings and mayors in Mesopotamian texts. So the fact that we don't see this symbol tells us that the Babylonians never viewed her as a deity. Spirits on occasion would also get the mark, and she should have it in that case, but does not have it. So she's an entity in the sense that she's a mythic framework within the mythos. She's a narrative piece that is placed within the story for the story to go forward. Even calling her an entity is a term used very loosely. She does not exist at all outside of this narrative framework, similar to how, like, the story of the hoe and the plow, the parable of the hoe and the plow aren't discussing an actual hoe or an actual plow. They're a narrative flourish that makes the story happen. This is a motif that was very common in Mesopotamian storytelling. We can further support the interpretation that she was not a goddess, a spirit, or an entity in that there is no evidence of her worship. There's no cultic iconography. Other gods receive temples, rituals, priestly devotion. Tiamat's existence is solely just within the mythological narrative. Her significance is the story that is being told, not Tiamat. So, like, there's the idea of the concept of the unknown, and as a narrative device, Tiamat encompasses that. Now, it had been suggested at a time that Tiamat was the Babylonian version of Namu, the Sumerian mother goddess. But there are humongous significant differences between the two, notably that Namu is consistently a nurturing, caring figure, while Tiamat is vengeful and tempestuous and wants to destroy everything. The only similarity that we have linked is that both are female, both are associated with the sea, and both are in stories of creation. Scholars also argued that there was the similarity that neither had a cultic following or temple, but this was challenged by we found mentions of a shrine to Namu in Babylonia. A huge difference is the intrinsic nature. Namu nurtures. Tiamat's initial impulse of caring is blunted by portrayal of her children. She is vengeful, she is destructive, she does not care for all of this. Further, according to all of our offering lists, and there's a lot of them that have been preserved, Tiamat has never received a single libation, offering, or sacrifice. No temples dedicated to her, no evidence that she had priest or priestess, no festivals that honor her divinity, nothing for her supernatural feats. For all intents and purposes, she was just a literary device in the myth. She was not a deity, she was not a spirit, she was not a divine concept within the Babylonian religion. And the only other time we see the word Tiamat, it is written with a divine determinative, comes from the from a lexical series where the name of a throne dais upon which Marduk sits, is given as Dinger Tiamat. But this is not the name of the primordial being, because Dinger Tiamat is not the same as the word Tiamtu, which Tiamat's name comes from, which is standard for sea. So Marduk's throne would be the sea rather than a Tiamat. Tiamat, the term also appears in the Kuthian legend of Naram-Shin, again without divine determinative, suggesting that it's not an appearance as a deity. In this text, uncivilized hordes have amassed against the king of Akkad. They're said to be suckled on Tiamat's milk, which is a reference to the sea, saying that they were raised on the salty seawater, which was a metaphor for being monstrous and uncivilized. There's another reference to Ishtar, but again, not to that Tiamat. So all of this shows that the veneration of Tiamat is ahistoric. It's an incredibly modern invention within the left-hand path, and this is not seen in Mesopotamia religious thought and practice at all, even in the Reconstructionist movements. And finally, because I got about 30 seconds left, the earliest mention of Tiamat being associated with dragons is in the 1975 Greyhawk supplement for the role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons, where she is described as the Dragon Queen and the Chromatic Dragon. In the 1977 Monster Manual, the Chromatic Dragon is given the name Tiamat and is described as the ruler of the first plane of the Nine Hells, where she spawns all evil dragon kind. Until that moment, we do not see Tiamat even as a dragon. That is all, and I hope we all learned something from this. I got 7 seconds. Shamu, everyone.